the high schoolers here get, in a sense, the second half of what we talked about in junior high last week. So junior highers, bear with me. I'm going to very briefly retell the story that you guys already heard, and then we'll go from there, pick up into something new. So, I feel like I'm going to run into this. I don't know why, but... so we were talking down in the coffee shop about this story, about times when we got in some trouble with our parents and different things that were kind of a bad situation. And I was telling this story back when I was a kid. I would play this game at my grandparents' house. And it was this game I played all the time. Now, I'd have my baseball glove, and I'd have a baseball. And I would toss it up on the roof, just enough so it would get to the top and it'd roll back towards me, pop over the gutter, and then I'd catch it again. I'd do it. Throw it up this way, run over, catch it. Toss it over this way, run over, catch it. And then I noticed, on the side right below the roof, was this window. And there was a ton of space above it, a ton of space below it, a ton of space on the sides. And I thought, you know, it's just rolling off of the roof. It's not that challenging. Now, if I sidearm it into the house, and it hits that spot, and it shoots back at me, that's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more of a challenge. So I was doing that, very fun. Then I realized, ooh, that last throw came kind of close to the window. Now that's kind of exciting. Now let's see how close I can get it to the window. So I'm throwing it, catching it, throwing it, catching it, and all of a sudden you hear that sound and your heart just stops. You're like, I don't see a window anymore. And there's glass everywhere. And then maybe 3 seconds later, you're frozen solid, and somebody comes out of the house like, what did you do? And you know, I have no chance I'm going to pay for this. Not a chance. This window was probably made in the 1970s or earlier because it's my grandparents' house. How am I going to pay for this? What am I going to do? Now, immediately at that time, I'm guilty. I'm in trouble. And Mom comes out, looks at me. Hi, Mom. Glove, glass, ball, inside, no one else around. Pretty cut and dry. Can't blame this one on the dog. I tried. Alright? And so in the same sense, and this is what we talked about last time, was that in the same sense, when Jesus came down, well, when God looks down, right, we messed it up. We put a baseball right through the window. We sinned. We made a huge mistake. And in a sense, our standing with God is not looking good. We have a big issue, and a problem that we know we can't pay for or fix on our own. Now, what do? Now, in my story, we talked about how the first person out, thankfully, it wasn't my mom, it was my sister. And theoretically, my sister had two decisions. One, the decision she always would do, Mom, you're not going to believe what Daniel just did. Quick run, he's trying to pick up the glass to hide it and get the ball back. She would tell on me, just like most of your siblings probably do. Older and younger. I'd say mostly older, because I'm the youngest. But she also had a second choice. And we compared that with God's choice, with sending His Son Jesus. My sister could have been like, Daniel, hey, I know you don't have the money for this. I know you can't pay for this. Take my money. Let's go to the store. I know there's no way you can fix this or make this right between you and Mom, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to make an impossible situation possible. That's exactly what Jesus did for us. He took an impossible situation and made it possible to be in right standing with God, to have forgiveness, to have that relationship, to spend our eternity with Christ. And so that's exactly where we left off. And comparing my sister and Jesus with John 3:16. Anybody know that verse by heart? Some of the high school? Yeah. Can you quote that for me?
For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, for whoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life.
And what's 17? Oh. See, we've missed part B of a two-part verse. And in some senses, the very most important part. Verse 17, for God did not come into the world to condemn the world, but to what? Save the world. In the same sense, God didn't come, Jesus didn't come to be a tattletale. Go, God, you see these guys? Do you see what I see down here? It's terrible. It is terrible. Selfishness, murder, greed, everything that's evil. These people, they can't stop. It consumes them. They just want more. They can't get enough. That's not what Jesus said. He said, all right, you got a problem, and only by my blood is this going to work out. So I'm going to hang on a tree for you. And that's exactly what he did. But, and this is where we continue into tonight, that's the precursor. That's part A of a part B. Now what? Does anybody know? Now what? The window is back, right? Jesus paid for our sins. We have forgiveness. This incredible gift, God's sacrificial lamb. Now what? What do we do as Christians? We've accepted His forgiveness. We're Christians. Now what? Does anybody know? What do we do now? Maybe join the Christian club out at Mesa. Get some free pizza and hear a devotion every Friday or every so often. Maybe we go to church. Maybe open our Bible every once in a while. Pay special attention when it's Communion Sunday or Easter, maybe Christmas. What do we do? What's our job as Christians? Does anyone know this thing? Matthew 28, the Great Commission. Anybody know anything about that? Reaching out, reaching others. How can we experience that kind of love? How can we experience that kind of forgiveness for God to say, all right, you're good in my book. Your sin is sent as far as the east is from the west. I forgive you for everything you've done. And my son had to die for you. That's how much I love you. You'd think we would be moved by that. That we would have to tell people about it. Not even in the sense that we would want to. Don't you feel obligated, in a sense? The fact of what we just received and to keep it to ourselves. I was at Biola, and in one of my classes, it was Theology 1. Remember it. Huge lecture hall, right? Maybe 6 or 7 rows back, and it kind of goes in a semicircle. One teacher in the front. Faces everywhere. Huge class. It's a lecture hall, right? I don't know if you guys have seen him. Not very personable. The guy just sit there and listen. The guy just talks. And he did a survey. Said in the last year, this is at Biola, you have to sign a statement of faith saying that you're a Christian to attend that school. So within the last year, how many of you have witnessed a single person?
Wait, what?
How many of you, this is my teacher, have witnessed, have shared your faith, have shared that gift, that message on the cross, what Christ did for you? How many of you, Christians in this room, have told that to anybody in 365 days? Can you get something?
None. Like 6.
It's Biola. All Christians, college students, 0. Not a single person. And probably the biggest whoa factor is that I was sitting in there. Whoa. Dang. Now what do I do about that? That's a huge thing. But what exactly would that look like? And I looked online, because we know everybody likes statistics, right? I don't know what the website is, but you can list statistics for everything. It says 2% of the contemporary church shares their faith. That's what the website says. That's what Google told me. 2% of the contemporary church. Contemporary church means all of us, America, contemporary church, Christianity today. That's crazy. Now I want to see what exactly does that look like, witnessing, and I want some volunteers. I want to try this out. Anybody? Any volunteers? Who wants to be my speaker? The guy who witnesses, and then I need a guy who gets witnessed to. What do you want to do?
Person who gets witnessed to.
Gets witnessed to?